The Crossfire franchise, developed by Smilegate, is normally a traditional free-to-play co-op online shooter and one of the world's most played video games by player count, with a lifetime total of 1 billion users. So for Asian players, the news of the series getting the VR makeover is quite a big deal. It's available now on PCVR via Steam in early access and on PSVR2. However, before we get into the review, you need to know what type of game you're signing up for. This is an arcade shooter through and through, with huge amounts of weapons and a considerable amount of content. It's also got some good and bad points, but as someone who loves mindless action games like Ghost Squad, which was also great fun on Nintendo Wii, and games like Army of Two, Crossfire Sierra Squad has kind of won me over, but it wasn't instant. The opening levels are wave-based arenas, meaning you don't have much to do but simply just shoot with unlimited ammo. It was at this point I felt my heart kind of sink, thinking now I've got to try and complete just another wave shooter, albeit with nice graphics. But I'm happy to report the game is a decent mix of levels to fight through, and the wave-based moments eventually get thrown into parts of the levels. For example, a boss fight or a massive influx of enemies, and once you deal with them, you can keep moving, and that was a massive relief. I honestly don't think I could take another VR wave shooter currently, or another game pretending to be a roguelike to avoid decent level design. But anyway, let's get into the fine details. On PSVR2, the game is 60Hz reprojected to 120 and can be pretty heavy on ghosting, but overall it looks pretty good. But it does also look a little bit washed out depending on the level. I personally like the high frame rate for things like bullet sparks, and then you've got the destructible parts of the environment such as boxes, pots and windows, and altogether make heavy shootouts like you're in an action film. The guns play a huge part in this game too. They all feel over the top and excellent to shoot, and all sound powerful and individual. When it comes to haptics, I'm pleased to say these guns feel really good. Headset haptics only seem to kick off when you actually get physically hit. I didn't really notice them when I got shot, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. There's an incredibly powerful sniper rifle in the firing range, and it's addictive to simply just stand there and shoot due to the haptics. Weapon handling is okay, but the scale of the game is slightly off, giving everything a larger than life look. Now this is where things get a bit more tricky, and you have to remember the warning I gave you at the beginning about this being an arcade shooter. Reloading is semi-auto, but it's a bit of a shame to me. To change your clip, you can grab an invisible pouch and put the clip near the gun and it auto-reloads. But you can also drop the clip and put the clip in, but everything else is automatic. When firing a sniper rifle, you have to pull the gun away from your face for the auto-reload to happen. It's not something I like, but the game is an arcade shooter, and I can see it actually being in arcades for this reason. You have to hold guns for accuracy, but sometimes when firing your hand auto-grabs no matter how far away your arm is in real life, and that can be pretty immersion breaking. Aiming is done by bringing the gun up to your face, or by simply pulling the left trigger if the gun has a scope, and it mostly feels okay. When sniping, you have to do a half trigger pull to hold your breath and then take the shot. The important thing is here, it's pretty satisfying. So onto the content. There's 13 solo story missions giving you preset loadouts so you can try all sorts of guns, and you'll find a mix of weapons during the levels which you can choose to carry on your left or right shoulder, but normally you have a preload on your right. The campaign in total lasted around 4 to 5 hours for my first playthrough, but that was on the hardest difficulty called Devs Can't Finish difficulty mode. But it's actually the best way to play the game in my opinion. It's difficult but not crazy and gives you some challenge. All other modes is for maybe brand new VR users, so if you know how to play VR shooters, I would personally choose the hardest difficulty. The good thing is the later levels can be really tough, and that was the only time I felt I might need to scale the difficulty back. There's tons of co-op missions, a horde mode for 4 players which currently only has 1 map with more coming soon, and once you complete the game you unlock the ability to earn cash where you can buy guns and attachments, and you also unlock realism mode. Realism mode means one-shot kills, and that's for you and the enemy. Throughout the game you'll be ranked from S, maybe I guess, to D, I'm not sure, but regularly I used to get like A's and B's, but realism mode actually scored me my first double S rank. So that was pretty cool. The enemies have a good variety to them. You have red bar enemies who are the grunts, purple are slightly harder, and then you have gold who are definitely the toughest out of them all. You'll fight soldiers, drones, guys with riot shields that blind you with a flash, soldiers that shoulder barge you, drones that launch rockets, and there's 2 really big heavily armed guys that one swings a hammer which almost kills you in an instant or knocks you back, and another one that carries a minigun. When it comes to AI, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's brilliant, but one of the things I did like is the fact they sometimes heal themselves in the battle. Going back to a bit of gameplay, overall when you start a mission all you do is kill people, find something and then finish. It's very straightforward. It does have a story, which I honestly didn't really pay much attention to, and it's voice acted by someone who wants to sound like Jason Statham, but it suits the game. You have a buddy with you at all times who's constantly getting knocked down on the ground, and no matter what weapons he uses, he isn't really much help, but he does take some shots for you. Overall, the game is kind of thin in terms of realism. This is not a sim. The music is heavy metal, and when the action gets going, it does add to the action, but can also come off as kind of cheesy. Overall, I've had fun. It's not a deep game by any means, but it does offer lots of online content, pretty good graphics, satisfying weapons, and high octane shootouts. The negatives are the semi-auto reloading could have been slightly more realistic, like Population 1 for example. Holding your breath while sniping doesn't always work, hands that stick to weapons can be off-putting, and in the in-game voice chat when you go on multiplayer is pretty low quality, and I don't know why. The game didn't crash the entire time I played it, and there was only one level that didn't load properly, and that was level 11, I believe, but as soon as I restarted the game, the level was fine. And finally, the reprojection does give the game an overall soft and washed out look at times, but overall, I was actually quite impressed. I'd give Sierra Squad a 6.8 out of 10, knowing the game was always meant to be nothing more than an over-top arcade game in VR. And thank God it's got online, because I'm not sure if I'd be coming back to it again, but the online mode will definitely pull me back in to play with my friends. But remember to leave your thoughts down in the comments below, let others know if you buy this game what you think of it, and I'll see you all in the next one.